Lights, camera, action. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're viewing from. This is Laura Thompson, your friendly, fabulous, feisty, fierce, and phenomenal CEO and creator of TAN TV, the African American Network, where we have a local feel with the global reach, and you're tuned into the coffee break. And guess who I have the privilege of having my coffee break with today? I'm here with attorney Maria Dinorah Diaz.
Yes.
How you doing, Attorney Diaz?
I am good. Thank you for having me. I feel so lucky to be able to have coffee with you.
Well, you are. I feel very lucky as well to have coffee. And Attorney Diaz is here to talk to us about a very special move that she's getting ready to make. She's getting ready to level up. And so before we get started and before we divulge what she's getting ready to do, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, what you do, how long you've been doing it, all of those good things, just a little biographical information.
Okay, awesome. I was raised in San Antonio, Texas. My parents moved back to San Antonio when I was 3 months old.
Wow.
I attended schools here. I went to the University of Texas at Austin.
Okay.
And I went to a law school in South Texas called the Reynaldo G. Garza School of Law.
Okay.
It was the first doctorate program offered south of San Antonio, Texas.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. And what was wonderful about that school is that it provided for educational opportunities for people who live south of San Antonio. Because back in the late 80s, there were no doctorate programs. If you drew a line from El Paso all the way through San Antonio to Houston, and you look south of that line, you would see that there were no doctorate programs. There was one master's program offered at Texas A&I University at the time in Kingsville. Now it's A&M.
Wow.
And so my law school had plaintiffs that actually sued the state of Texas to try to make that right. And because of that lawsuit and the disparity in the distribution of higher education funds, things changed. And so now there's more programs offered. So I feel very proud to have been a part of that history.
Wow.
And so I take that with me. And since then, I went to law school, of course. I sat for the bar and I passed it, of course. And I've been a practicing attorney for 30 years. I hung my shingle in June of 1991.
Wow.
And I have had a very good, successful business and law firm, and I've loved my clients, and I've represented all kinds of people. I started doing criminal indigent work. I am also federally licensed in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And I was formerly licensed in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and I'm federally licensed in the Western District of Texas, yeah.
Wow, so that's awesome. So your college career and going through the doctorate program at the school that you attended kind of seemed like it ignited a fire in you to really want to be a successful attorney.
Yes, and I consider that when I'm representing clients and everywhere I go in the community, and that it takes a village and it takes a community to help bring each other up, to ensure that education is available for others. Some of the civic duties and things that I have done early on in my career is I used to do a mentor-mentee program with the Mexican American Bar Association, where we would take students from Tafoya Middle School and we'd kind of show them the ropes and things like that. I remember also I represented a young man who was in high school, and he was really having a rough time because they were picking on his little brother, and he had taken a weapon to school. And I remember defending him, and I was able to keep him in school.
Wow,
and
that's
so
awesome.
And then later on, he went to Texas Tech University, and he showed up at my office like 8 years after that incident and went, "Miss Diaz, I just want to tell you thank you so much because of you, because you fought for me and you gave me that chance. I'm now a graduate from Texas Tech and on my way to
Wow.
being a manager.
Oh, wow. That is super awesome.
Yeah,
Those are good stories, aren't they?
Yes. Some of the other things that I've done is I work to help keep some of the voting rights facilities open when Bexar County was getting crunched down by the state to close down some of our early voting sites. And I remember lobbying for that, fighting for that, and reaching out into the community and ensuring that those facilities were open.
Wow, that's awesome.
To keep them open.
So you've been an attorney for a while,
Yes.
and so now, drum roll, you're getting ready to run for a district judge
Yes.
position.
Yes.
So, what will it be like to go from being an attorney to a judge? I know you're very knowledgeable on the defense side, but as you go into a position as judge, how is that going to be different, and how does your experience as an attorney help?
Okay, that's a great question. As an attorney, you're an advocate, right? You analyze the facts, you look at the law, and you present cases, and you advocate for your clients. You're the one doing the dueling, and you're like, let's fight for them, right? As a judge, you more are the person who is the referee. You listen to both sides. You respect everybody who appears before you. You discern who's, like, where the truth is coming from and what the evidence is presented. Then you apply the law, and you hopefully administer the judgments in the law in a way that the litigants and the people who have appeared before you feel satisfied with the outcome. Now, not everybody can win, but sometimes it's the delivery and the careful consideration that you take to allow people to say their side of the stories is so important as a district court judge. So that's why I am running. That's one of the reasons why I'm running as a civil district court bench. That court generally will hear family law cases, and those are cases where people are getting divorced and they're maybe fighting over custody, very serious things, and it's very important to get somebody with the right temperament that sits on that bench, because you really have to have patience. People already show up at the courthouse and they're scared. A lot of times it's their first time that they've ever even been there. You don't want them to leave worse off or terrified. You want them to feel like they got a fair shake and that you listened to them. And I definitely would be a positive improvement for that court.
Wow. So I can feel the compassion
Thank
and
you.
the passion that you have for what you do and what you're gonna do.
Thank you.
So as judge, do you have any particular priorities that you're looking at, or some things that you might do different than what's being done now?
Okay. Well, one of the things definitely that I would do is that I would require that governmental agencies like Adult Protective Services and Child Protective Services are held accountable, and that everybody follows the law, so that you can't just have proffers of evidence without there actually being evidence of allegations before children are ripped away from people's homes or things like that. So I would require accountability and for those agencies to follow the law and to respect the family units.
Wow.
I would definitely ensure that the individuals who need help with drug abuse or baby anger management, that they're afforded those opportunities by ordering certain programs that I would expect that they do. Additionally, and most importantly, that I would always recognize that I am just an instrument, that I am not all that almighty just because I wear the robe, that it's about the people that appear before you. And it's also about everybody else that makes it happen. The clerks, the bailiffs, the court reporter, the custodians. It's a family down at the courthouse, and it is important not to let it, get too in your head that you're all that, because you really ain't all that.
Right.
You're just a regular person who's trying to do what they're supposed to do, and if I'm graced by God to be able to be judge and to help our community, I will do so, with all my heart and with all my knowledge and with patience and integrity.
Wow. So her goal is to go from attorney to judge. So do you think that as an attorney you're able to help people more?
I think so, because in my tenure as an attorney, I have listened to cases. I've had a good feel with like what clients are going through. I think I've helped develop a real strong sense of empathy because of my listening ear, and every case is different. So I think that experience has helped me a lot. And I would like to add just a little bit about my family background.
Okay.
Because I've been telling this story and people are like, well, give us the explanation. So I'm going to do so now. My dad was a doctor, and he was a doctor on the south side of San Antonio. And a lot of times, he wouldn't even get paid, but he would still see his patients. And the reason I bring it up is not because like there's some kind of sense of entitlement or anything like that, because it's not about that for me. It's because because of his story. When he was a young boy, he lost his mother when he was only 6 years old. He was the youngest of 8 kids. He came from a family that it was food deprived. They didn't have food. They were very poor. When he was in high school, he didn't even have shoes. And he would get bullied, but he would just, kind of bounce back. And so even going through all of that, against all odds, and by the grace of God, he was able to become a doctor. And my mom was a school teacher, an elementary school teacher in the Harlandale School District. And so he chose to have his office on the south side of town so he could help the people who spoke Spanish, who didn't know, so he could communicate with them and help them. And so when we were growing up, we would go work at his office. My mom had my brother pitching watermelons in Dilley, Texas with my uncles. And they always kept us grounded, and they kept us knowing that we are all equal. It doesn't matter the color of one's skin or anything. It doesn't matter if you come from a wealthy family or a modest family, that we all have to help each other, and you have to be empathetic. And kindness and empathy and treating others like the way you would like to be treated, even if they treat you bad. You got to treat them like you would like them to treat you, not how they treat you. And I would definitely bring that to the court. We got to do that.
Wow.
We got to keep the sacredness of the courthouse,
Wow. So you are tuned into The Coffee Break on TAN TV, the African American Network, where you have a local feel with a global reach, and we're here with the phenomenal attorney, soon to be judge,
Hopefully.
Diaz. And so on The Coffee Break, we just kind of have casual conversation, and so it's a good opportunity for our viewers to learn another side of you, opposed to just what your profession is. And she just explained that, she came from humble means. Her parents did, and they rose to a certain level of success, just through hard work and caring about people. And she's taken on, some of those same traits as an attorney. And so can you tell us again why you're running for judge, and what you would like for people to do?
Okay. I am running for judge of the 45th Civil District Court bench because I want to continue my service to the community as a judge. I've had the opportunity to serve our community in a capacity as an attorney for 30 years. I've gained a lot of experience. I have the knowledge and the confidence, and mostly I've got the wisdom to ensure that justice is equally served for everybody that comes to the court. And so that when they walk out, they don't they'll feel okay about things.
Wow. And so I think experience is key, but also to learn something from that experience to take you to the next level. You know, the wisdom that you learn. You said something about the listening skills, too, the listening and the compassion. You get to see a lot of things, you know, and you get to see a lot of things that are not necessarily good in people's lives at the time when they come and see you. But, you know, from what I feel from having a conversation with you is that, you know, you do care, and you're able to look at people's situations and look beyond their situations and to hopefully direct them to a better future.
Correct. Exactly.
And so that's so important. So, so you've been an attorney. You're running for a district judge. You're going to be dealing with families. Had you dealt with families or a lot of family cases prior to your decision to run for judge?
Yes. I started doing criminal defense, but now I've done a lot of family law cases, and I've been doing primarily that for about the last 20 years.
Wow.
And I do other civil litigation too, because this court will also hear like personal injury cases and things like that.
So what were some of your most difficult cases that you won? Or types, not necessarily the case.
Right, because if I still have that attorney client, but it's just been a really phenomenal situation where we have been able to communicate. There's so many that I'm kind of thinking back, and it's kind of hard for me to pick one in particular. There's been all kinds. The young man who I was able to ensure that he stayed in school.
That's
the mother who they were trying to take 4 of her babies away from her, and we were going up against a really big law firm, and the dad had a lot of money, and we were able to get the community around her and have so many witnesses, and she was so grateful and so happy, and I really feel good about that because the kids were safe and they were with her. People who have been wrongfully accused, getting those acquittals.
Wow.
It's been an awesome career. I've really enjoyed it.
Wow. So I think, you know, again, that experience is key. You know, you've had an opportunity to deal with so many different people and so many different families and, you know, so many different people in the community that support what you do or what you need in order to win a case.
Yeah,
and so, you know, being a judge is just the next step, I think.
Yes, thank you. Also, we've got early voting is coming up February 14th on Valentine's Day.
Hey.
So you can go vote and then go out for Valentine's Day. Just kidding.
Go celebrate, huh?
Right. And then the primary election is March 1st. And I am running in the Democratic primary.
Wow. So that's a big deal, and something that, you know, the community and viewers need to be educated on is when to vote. And so is this a county-wide seat or is
Yes, it is. It's a county-wide seat. So if you live in Bexar County, if you live in Converse or Somerset or parts of, you know, Helotes, parts of it, the southern part, and if you live in Bexar County, you can vote in this election. There's a lot of good candidates on there, and it's very important that we get out and vote because that's it.
Wow.
That's a very important choice.
So how do people learn more about your candidacy?
They can go to Dinorah Diaz for Judge. That's DINORAHDIAZFORJUDGE.com, and it gives a little bit of a bio and some information. And if you're interested in volunteering or helping us out, we sure could use the help and would be happy to do so.
Wow. And I can hear my phone was ringing, so it's my coffee break is almost up.
Almost up, and I've really enjoyed it.
Right.
Thank you.
So you've been tuned into the Coffee Break on TAN TV, the African American Network, where we have a local feel with a global reach, and we've been here with the phenomenal Maria Dinorah Diaz. She's an attorney right now, and she's vying for judge.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for having coffee with me.
Thank you.
Ciao.